consideration.
Okay, so go ahead, take a look at that, watch it. She explains it in very, very good detail. But to sum up, representatives from Michigan and California ended up introducing two privileged resolutions, 13 and 14, and they are going to be necessitating another session tomorrow. I mean, you know, there probably was going to be a session, but why bring it up now? You know? Anyway, but that's what that is. One of them seems budgetary in nature, and the other one seems like a thinly veiled swipe at abolishing the Electoral College, which is a theoretical possibility, but not really a realistic one, if we're being generous to all condition trees. Let me see. The idea is that this could be a smokescreen to bring something into attention, necessitating the need to let people know there's going to be something going on. Just an idea. Anyway.
All right. Who knows what this might be about? It's just been certified. Let me press play.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, by the direction of the House Republican Conference, I send to the desk a privileged resolution and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Republican,
House Resolution
privileged
13,
resolution.
Resolved that the following
Interrupts, doesn't want it read.
Consent to dispense with the reading.
Doesn't want it read.
The resolution is agreed to and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
And then,
What purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, by direction of the Democratic Caucus, I offer
a Democrat,
resolution and ask for its immediate consideration.
Another one of those.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Resolution 14, resolved that the
Mr.
following
Speaker, I ask unanimous
university
consent that the resolution
Doesn't
be
want it
considered
read.
as read.
Without objection, the resolution is agreed to and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that when the House adjourns today, it stands adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow, January 7th.
Without a...
What? What's happening at 11 tomorrow? Well, 10 o'clock here.
So today, after the certification, 2 House members stood up and introduced 2 new resolutions, House Resolution 13 and House Resolution 14. House Resolution 13 was introduced by a Republican from Michigan. House Resolution 14 was introduced by a Democrat from California. Both are privileged. They would not allow it to be read into the record, and they have adjourned until tomorrow. I don't know what they are. I don't know if it matters what state the 2 representatives were from. I guess we'll find out tomorrow, unless, I guess, keep your eyes peeled for any information on House Resolution 13 and House Resolution 14.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, by the direction of the House Republican Conference, I send to the desk a privileged resolution and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Resolution 13, resolved that the following
I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading.
Without objection, the resolution is agreed to and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. What purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, by direction of the Democratic Caucus, I offer a privileged resolution and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Resolution 14, resolved that the
Mr.
following
Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be considered as read.
Without objection, the resolution is agreed to and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that when the House adjourns today, it stands adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow, January 7th.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
The question is on the motion to adjourn. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. According to the House, the stands adjourned until 11 a.m. on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
Oh my God, y'all, I just saw the end. Of course. Okay, so I was just making a video clarifying for the folks in the comments who are like, I'm holding on until the absolute last second. And I was saying, me too. Me personally, absolutely. I'm holding on to the last second because I've been looking at the documents and it just doesn't make sense that they put in all that work for no reason. There's an entire backup structure in place for if there's no administration right now. They didn't do all that work for no reason. So this was confusing and frustrating, and then you see at the end, one red and one blue. Both stood up, one from Michigan, one from California, requesting that they come back tomorrow to discuss some emergency. I forgot the name. I'm going to put the video in the caption. You can look at it, come back in the comments and let me know. Now, again, for the folks who are like done, okay, you can't do it anymore. You can't handle it. You don't want to get your hopes up. I understand. And you do not have to come in here and spread it, okay? I validate your feeling that you can't do it anymore and you can't take it. I don't need you to spread that here. There are other spaces for you. This is not the space for you. Now over here, I'm not going to say put all your hopes in this. I will just say it is very interesting. And I will say that while I don't know much about the other theory of the congressional certification being the point of I'm cray being complete, I guess we'll have to see what they said tomorrow. From what I understood in the video clip, and it is on YouTube, they sped through reading what the request was for. Like the person at the podium started reading it and the legislator would interrupt them and said, actually, can we just count it as read and put it as tomorrow? So like they didn't even read it aloud. And yes, for the people who are pointing out the body language in the video, yeah, Vance in his pants was looking kind of weird. And Ms. Ma'am was looking like she was fighting a smile the whole time. Now, again, could be nothing. And for those of you that are done with this, scroll away or unfollow me or whatever. But the fact remains that Michigan and California called for a session tomorrow. And we don't have the details exactly on what it's about, but because it's something emergency and urgent, we'll see, won't we?
Okay, guys, I know we're all kind of feeling weird, demoralized, but I need to show you something because I think a lot of people probably turned off their TVs or their streaming before something happened. After they adjourned the joint session, they were all talking, they were shaking hands, doing the whole thing, and then all of a sudden, two members of Congress, a rep from Michigan and a rep from California, stood up to announce they had resolutions to present and to be reconsidered tomorrow in a session at 11 a.m. Now, I don't know if this is normal procedure. I don't know if this has absolutely nothing to do with what happened today. This could have been typical procedure, but they interrupted the clerk and wouldn't allow her to read the resolutions. So again, I don't know if that is normal, but something about it just struck me as strange. So again, I'm not an expert. This is not my field. If someone wants to come in the comments and maybe tell me like, this is completely normal, they're just going to have a normal day tomorrow at 11 a.m. It has nothing to do with what happened. There will be no objections. The conversation is over. I want you to tell me that in the comments because it felt like a to be continued ... So I'm going to play the video of what happened in case you haven't seen it. Feel free to talk in the comments. I know we're all feeling on edge and sad, and all of your feelings are valid. I just want you to watch this and see what you think.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, by the direction of the House Republican Conference, I send to the desk a privileged resolution and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Resolution 13, resolved that the following...
I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading.
Without objection, the resolution is agreed to and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, by direction of the Democratic Caucus, I offer a privileged resolution and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Resolution 14, resolved that the
Mr.
following...
Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be considered as read.
Without objection, the resolution is agreed to and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that when the House adjourns today, it stands adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow, January 7th.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
The question is on the motion to adjourn. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. According to the House, the stands adjourned until 11 a.m. on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
So if my research is right, this is House Resolution 14, the one that the congressman from California put forward. You can read above me, proposing an amendment to the Constitution to abolish the Electoral College and to provide for direct election. Interesting that if this is what was actually brought up, if I am reading this correctly, it's interesting to bring this to the floor. Now, they're not going to have the votes to pass this. Symbolically, I think it's interesting that they brought it up. Again, doesn't change anything that happened today, just want to bring it to your attention. So I don't know if there's anything more there, but I just wanted you guys to all see that something happened at the end. Anyways, more than ever, I am sending you love. I am sending you solidarity. This is going to be tough for all of us. We really wanted something different to happen today. And it's okay to feel all the feels. I'm going to be here. I'm not going anywhere. Remember that hope is a choice and no one can take that from you. See you in the next one.
All right, so now that we've all had some time to take it in, now I can say what I'd really like to say, which is, hello down to the last day crew. What's up? You know who you are. Now for my fallen leaf friends, the friends who had a hard date, who said today is the day and after that I can't do it anymore. I'm not here to judge you and tell you what to believe or what to think, unlike some people who are telling everyone that they need to be in despair so they can eat it up like an energy vampire. They're in my comments like, yeah, be depressed. I've given up hope, you too. Like, yeah, no, none of that is allowed here. But for those of you who would like to gently fall on a soft pillow and be comforted because you can't handle it, you're not built that way, that's okay. I'm providing a little safe space for y'all. In fact, I'm going to add a little extra encouragement to my morning subscriber polls so that we've got some additional affirmation and encouragement for those that could use it coming up. All right, that's for y'all. But for my down to the last day crew people who have been in my comments asking me, did I notice this? Did I notice that? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now, yes, we are a special breed because we are doing both, okay? We're not in denial. We know what's up. We're not over here with pitchforks, but we're also aware that there are avenues, the ones that we've been leaning on because we've been thinking of bigger agencies, outside agencies. We see the structures that have been put in place. We see the other nations that are calling things out. We noticed that certain people didn't look very happy today despite their accomplishment, and other people looked like they were stifling a smile the whole time despite defeat. Just a lot of things that might mean nothing. We got the little session tomorrow. It might be nothing. I know folks are saying it might be committee assignments. It might be about the weather. Who knows? It was just interesting. The timing was interesting. The fact that we can't read it is interesting. Will it be something? Maybe. But like most of us down to the last dayers have been trying to hint at, but we can't because a lot of y'all are like, what's the date? Like even right now, so many will come in here going, I need you to give me a final date. Just give me a date. And then if the date passes, you're like, so what happened? Like, dude, I didn't want to give you a date. You're like a kid when you're like, promise, promise. Mom, did you promise? Mom, did you promise? And then mom goes, okay. And then you're like, Mom, you promised. Like, dude, I didn't give it to you. You wouldn't leave me alone. And I get it. Some people can't operate with like an if. If they don't have something direct, they're lost. So I get it. And for those people, you don't have to like, I will have separate stuff for you. Don't worry. But for the folks who are down to the last day, yeah, down to the last day. Absolutely. And then if nothing at all happens on a larger scale, then okay, I'll still be here to be petty, to cue malicious noncompliance, to provide encouragement and whatever else that y'all need to get through it. And for the folks who are going to come in here who are like, and what about the despair? You don't know how bad it's going to be. Bitch, I'm a black woman in America, okay? I am uniquely fitted to live through apocalyptic times with a smile on my face because that's just how life has treated me. So I am fully aware of how bad things can get. In fact, I'm more aware than you are, despite your whole platform being despair and the Department of Education and my benefits. And oh, darling, that's the tip. That's nothing. That's the icing. You're worried about the little stuff. You don't see the big stuff yet. I see the big stuff. So don't challenge me, baby. If that regime comes in, I can absolutely start a separate channel that's just for you doomsdayers, and I can tell you how bad it's going to get in detail, but I'm not going to do that. Right now, I'm a down to the last dayer. I will be monitoring things the way the rest of you are. And for those of you, my fallen leaf friends who can't take it anymore, I feel you. I will provide encouragement and stuff that is for you. But if I see you in my comments trying to spread depression and despair, we don't do that. We're not quitters here, okay? We fought the good fight. We did everything we needed to do. And if we're disappointed, that's okay. That's human. What we're not doing is coming in here going, everybody cry with me. God. Take that ish somewhere else.
I have a question for two creators on here. Both of these men have a great platform and they do their due diligence to inform their followers and give people a reason to get through the next day, which is why I'm hoping that they watch this, they listen to it, and they respond. Because I have a serious issue with a particular message that the blue team Dems are sending, especially after what took place today with them confirming DJT and JD. One thing that really gets under my skin is that while people are scared, despondent, despairing over what's to come in the next 4 years, what I'm seeing most creators and people in power doing is telling them, we'll just try again in 2 and 4 years. Don't worry about it. You'll be all right. I think that's such a backhanded response because you honestly think that things will be different in 2 and 4 years? I think it's clear as day that DJT is not someone that plays by the rules, and he encourages other people on the red team to not play by the rules. These are people who don't mind breaking rules to win. And you honestly think in the next 2 or whatever years, when it's time to play this game again, that they're not going to try something? And the blue team has shown us that even when they try something, they're going to allow it. It's like we're playing hide and seek with someone that's constantly peeking when they're it. And then the people playing with them going, oh, he's not peeking. It's okay. We'll just keep playing with them. Eventually, we're going to get sick and tired of playing this game. And so I have to ask you, as someone with your platform, what message are you going to send going forward that's not only going to give people hope, but also want to stay on the blue team when it's clear, especially after being shown today, that they are going to choose optics over democracy every single time? Oh, look at us. We're playing by the rules. We're great people because we play by the rules. Great. They break the rules and they win. So what's the point? What message does that send? Sure, okay, we're not like MAGA. We're not taking one conspiracy theory and letting it affect us so much that we storm the Capitol and smear feces on the wall. That's wonderful, but I think it's just as bad when it's clear to everybody that the cheater cheated and the liar lied, and the blue team just lets him do it. They don't even try to fight him. That's a crazy stark comparison. One side thinks cheating happened, even though it was proven through 60 courts and 3 counts being done over again that there was no tampering, yet they believed it, still believe it today. And then the other side, where it's very clear, tangible evidence that tampering happened, and they did nothing about it. They just sat back and watched it happen. To me, that's just as bad. To some, that's even worse. Why should I vote for you if you're not going to fight for me? And a lot of people felt like Congress did not fight for them today. What does it say when you just tell those people, just wait 2 and 4 years to try again? Why aren't we telling them, here's what we're going to do today, and then tomorrow, and then next week, and then next month, and then the month after that, and then after that, and then next year, and then next year? Because that's what they want to hear right now. They don't want to hear, we'll just try again, and this is America. Because quite frankly, if giving up democracy for optics is America, then I don't know anybody that wants to play that game anymore. Let's give them something to do today to help them get through the next day.
Trust the process. So, House Resolutions 13 and 14, let's get into it. To sum up, after the election certification earlier today, when most people probably turned the TV off, the Republican and Democratic caucus spokespeople respectively filed almost identical motions, H.R. 13 and H.R. 14, both of which got approved and will be discussed tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. So all that is known about these House resolutions so far is that they are privileged. So they basically can't be talked about publicly. They have to be discussed in private. And this makes sense after we saw both the Democratic and Republican caucus spokespeople, like they literally like shushed the teller whenever she was trying to begin saying what the resolutions would be regarding. They were literally like, oh no, we'll discuss it tomorrow. We'll discuss it tomorrow. No need to talk about it now. And I've been seeing commenters say too that they've been like going online to see what HR 13 and HR 14 could be because it's listed. But I think that other people have said that that is from the last Congress, like the 118th and not the 119th that just started like literally a couple days ago. Now, I do want to stress, given how the election certification went today, I don't think that we can expect there to be like a moment tomorrow, you know, like that we could point to in decades to come and say, you know, that's when it happened. I don't think that we're going to get anything like that. But, and I'll point to this again, trust the process. Trust that the people that we have elected know what they're doing and are doing it when it counts. And in moments of doubt, honestly, I remember the stuff that I know, like the Eric Garland tweets. Those were like a big one for me. And we have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that she's afraid. She's afraid. Mind you, this woman has proven that she is not afraid of literally anything that any reasonable person would be afraid of. She's afraid that Trump won't make it back into office. I mean, I've also seen a lot of people throwing around this you can't get arrested for shoplifting until you've left the store argument, which essentially in this case means Trump couldn't officially be charged for EI unless the E was official, which now it officially is official. So all of this to say, anything can happen. The journey may not be what we want and what we expect, but I have a feeling that the destination will be that.
Good morning, Blue Lulus. I wanted to jump on and make a quick video about something that I'm noticing more and more. It's Thursday morning at 10:15. And what I have noticed is that when we are making videos talking about how we're losing hope and feeling like nothing is going to happen, which are valid feelings, I'm noticing in the comments section something that is concerning me. I'm noticing that there are more and more suggestions of taking matters into our own hands. I don't think that those people are acting in good faith. In fact, I think they might be from the other side. And they would definitely benefit if we did something stupid. So, keep your head on straight. Act according to your values. And I think that protesting in an oligarchy looks different than protesting in a democracy. And that's something that we need to keep in mind. So, with that said, I hope you have a great morning. And I'm right here with you on this train all the way till Monday. Bye.
Okay, those resolutions. You guys, the plot thickens again. I made the other video private. I didn't take it down because I made it and I read out the ones that I found. And then some of you guys were like, they reset the numbers every session. I was like, holy shit, you're right. Let me go back and double check. So the original resolutions, I thought it were the ones regarding campaign finance and the Electoral College. And those, you know, are interesting topics. But when I went to go look, you tell me what you see, because I see what I see. I'm going to show you. All right, they said resolutions 13 and 14, right? 9, 10, 11. And then it skips to bill resolution 21, right? So from resolution 11 to resolution 21, where is it? So now I have questions for the legal eagles. Can they move over other resolutions? Could it be the ones from before? Or are these ones that we don't have? Because if they're not listed here, and if they're not the ones from before, they weren't read on the floor either. Remember, the reps cut them off and were like, just count it as read. We'll talk about it tomorrow. They are not listed here. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but the plot is thick and I'm going to be watching tomorrow, because what the fuck? If you know where to find 13 and 14, can you send it to me? Because I don't see anything between 11 and 21. There's like 10 of them missing.
Full transparency, I did not watch this, but I have heard and seen other creators who have. I will try to tag one of them below, but essentially, it was business as usual. They did not bring up Amendment 14, Executive Order 13848, or any of those things. It was just business as usual. So I stand by what I said. Congress has failed us. We don't want to look like them. You look worse. Okay, they're crazy for storming the Capitol. You're cowards for not defending and upholding our Constitution. You tell me which one's worse. They're both just as bad to me. And that's unfortunately who is in office. So I am no longer going to put my faith in these millionaires and billionaires who clearly do not care about us. Because every single time the red team breaks the rules, then when they win, they buy the game and change the rules every single time. And the blue team, for some ungodly reason, continues to play by those rules. Because optics. They traded our democracy for optics. And for that very reason, you can forget about me ever putting my faith in them unless something changes. So going forward, I am going to find more pragmatic, actual reasons to have hope. The FBI is a reason. I see that Agent Smith is about to drop some reports. We will talk about that in a different video separately from this one, but that's more pragmatic. We can have hope with that. Congress, I'm over it. Y'all want to have hope? You go for it. Maybe you can give me some hope. They have shown us who they are, and so I am going to believe them. They are cowards. They let our democracy die for optics. So we're going to move forward. We will act accordingly. It's as simple as that.
I need to tell you something. You're not going to necessarily like this. Some of you need to leave. You need to leave. You need to leave the United States. You don't have months. Some of you might have weeks. Maybe. Some of you have spent the last 2 months pretending like this is not happening, like it's not coming, but it is coming. America is about to become a Christian nationalist fascist dictatorship. And some of you have been waiting for other people to stop this from happening. But it's happening. A lot of people got a lot of views telling you that something was going to stop this, or Congress was going to stop this, or the courts were going to stop this, and it wasn't going to happen. But it is going to happen. Trump will become the president on the 20th. And it's not necessarily Trump that you should be worried about. It is the people around Trump that you need to be worried about. These people have lists. These people have agendas. These people have enemies. Some of you are enemies. And some of you need to leave. There are people of political power who have millions of dollars, have good lawyers, and those good lawyers told them, you need to leave. At least for inauguration. Go out of the country. You need to leave. The thing is, by the time you realize that you have to leave, by the time you realize that you have to leave now, you may not be able to. You know, ostensibly we talk about the border wall and the border closing and closing the border, and it's easy to sort of imagine that that's just to prevent bad people from getting in, or quote unquote bad people from getting in. But the wall, the border, whatever you want to call it, is also going to prevent you from leaving. And if it doesn't, countries are not going to take former American citizens in 2 years or in 3 years when things are really, really bad. The logic is just self-fulfilling. If we mass deport people, those countries are not going to take, those countries are not going to voluntarily say, oh, hey, Americans who don't want to be there anymore, come on over. It's not going to happen. So if you have a feeling that you're not going to be safe, or you're an immigrant, or you're gay, or you're a woman, and you feel like the worst part of your gut that's telling you you have to go is actually telling you the truth, you need to start looking at that now. I know that it's very hard and can be very expensive, and there are people who can't afford to leave, but you need to try to figure a way out. Not everyone needs to leave, but some of us need to leave.
Now, I know that I said that it was going to be my last video because I'm going to take a nap, which is what I'm doing. However, I just put a video on my story about JD Vance and that face that he was making. And let me tell you, that is how I look when I'm struggling to withhold from having a panic attack. Because first, I have anxiety. And if I cannot contain that, then there's a trigger that will take me from anxiety to a panic attack. He was looking like he was having a panic attack. I saw that. I felt that. I felt that because I've been that before. And it's interesting because you got to ask, why would he react that way? Why? I mean, he's not prepared. I don't think he's qualified at all. But I don't think he's conscious enough to understand that he's not capable. I don't know what that is. But that was not a good reaction. That was a reaction when you're anxious. That was a reaction when you're beyond anxious. Because that's my reaction when I'm not anxious, when I'm panicking. Panic attack. And you know what a therapist told me? That a panic attack is basically how you feel if you were about to be unalived by someone. That's what you feel right before it. Because you know that that's the end. And that's how you feel when you have a panic attack. It's not the end when you're having a panic attack. But that's how you feel. And that's how he looked. Look at my last story. And now I'm going to take a nap. All right. But that's wild. Kind of gave me a panic attack. I was having a panic attack as he was having a panic attack. And I didn't even watch it.
So, now that the election results are certified, I would like to have a word with the astrology girlies. Each and every one of you. Y'all gave me Delulu Hope. It was a thin thread of Delulu Hope, but she was there. She was there. She's still there. Do I hold on to her? Do I? What's going on? Because y'all said a lot.
Anyone that knows me knows I'm like the most political person ever, but has anyone else just numbed themselves so badly on TikTok that your For You page is basically just like cat memes and like nostalgia?
I do want to talk about Congress certifying Donald Trump's 2024 presidential win. But before I get started with those videos, did anyone see JD Vance? If you watched it, please comment. Tell me he doesn't look beat up, scared, fearful, almost like, is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? I'm just going to show you a quick little clip after the win, after, it was all said and done and people were congratulating him. But it looks like he was beat up. Watch this. But besides him looking like he was beat up, because he clearly has a bruise on his face, the whole time he sat there, he looked so scared. It was like someone going, is this really going to happen? Will we make it to the finish line? He just looked scared to me. Tell me what you think if you watched it.
Anyone else got this weird feeling of impending doom? Like something is coming? I just feel like it's been so weird. Like the atmosphere has been weird. And like, I'm not saying this to fearmonger anybody, dude, because people be trying to say that. But genuinely, it's a feeling. Like something feels uneasy. Like there's just an uneasy feeling that you can't really shake. And it feels like it's impending doom. I can't be the only one who think that, right? Do y'all feel it as well? It's kind of like you're just waiting on something to happen because you know it is gonna happen. But it seems like it's gonna be something big because everything has been headstrong rushing into something huge. And so something big is about to happen, I think, some point this year, some point pretty soon. I know a few things happen this week, which is pretty big, but there's something more. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just this feeling of impending doom. That's the best way to explain it, is that doom is near in some way, shape, or form. Once again, this is not to fearmonger anybody. Relax.
Okay, so first of all, none of yous should be surprised that they took that whole report thing to their favorite handpicked person and asked them to make it go away or make it so it doesn't come out, because they do that every single fucking time, and she always does it. But you know that shit's gonna get leaked or something. I think there's an appeal. I don't know, but I'm willing to bet on that. I'm willing to bet that we're gonna see that shit some way, somehow, because it plays a part. I love how everyone's like, he's such a great person, and like he won't admit or show anything. No tax returns, no medical records, no health records, no mental acuity records. We can't see the report. We can't see anything. We just gotta believe what he says. No wonder he appeals to people who just, I don't have to understand it. I just go with my convictions. Yeah, we see that. We see that. And I did tune in to the second meeting that was today, and I've been popping in and out. I didn't see the 13 and 14 yet. Yes, I've seen some folks had like screenshots of something they found from like the dockets. I haven't been able to find it. And some folks were saying maybe because they were marked as privileged, maybe they won't be read publicly. So I don't know. I'm going to keep poking around. If y'all heard it or have a clip to it, send it my way. I couldn't quite sit through all the nonsense they were doing, all their, we just want to congratulate random people of America. It's like, okay, that's great. Call me when you want to talk about something serious. They probably did that on purpose, right? Get rid of everyone. And no, none of you should be surprised that, look, I already told you that Zucky Baby was going to fill his places with fake AI bot profiles. They're bringing Dumpty allies onto the board. They're revamping their platforms to emulate Truth and Twatter, okay? I already told you, I'm scared. You will not see me posting on there anymore. I will be here until this place is done. When this is done, I'm on the Sky. I'm on the Tubi. That's where I'm at for right now. And I mean, I have a Patreon. I got to beef it up. But point is, I'm not touching Meta, because fuck that shit. Oh, right. And they moved their moderators to Texas. You know, where these moderators are. And no, if one of his buddies happens to buy it, I will not stay here. I already told y'all how I feel about that. No, thank you. But now in addition to that, they're announcing that they want to bring these AI centers and put them in all the red states. They want the government to be run by AI that first boyfriend controls. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing that could possibly go wrong with that at all. But it's interesting that while they're announcing that comfortably here in the States, where they feel like they can just get away with anything, multiple other countries are talking about this dude and what he's been doing and his access to things and what a danger he is. And even in this country, we have certain agencies that have been saying, oh, yes, they have the information that this person is a security issue. And they did issue all of those recent kind of revisions and sanctions and orders where if you've got a company that's involved in something that had to do with testing, that also makes a way for seizures and sanctions. And, you know, so I don't know. But I'm with y'all when we've been saying we think letter agency, right? Or potentially international community, because these fuckers are so done with that dude. Like, you've sensed the attitude shift from all of these leaders. They went from like kind of standing it like they had to outright just trolling this dude now. Trolling them all. They're like, yeah, no, fuck you. No. In fact, we're coming for your boyfriend. And what? Canada's like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't want to do the same thing to you, but honestly, I think California would like to join us. California, you want to join us? And we in California accept. She also said Washington and Oregon, well, she'll take the whole coast, and we, the whole coast, accept. As a plan C. As a plan C, all right? I'm down to the last day is plan A, all right? Ready to be petty, darling, is plan B. And if that regime does the full roll in and dismantle everything immediately, the way I'm pretty sure they will, if that happens, then plan C is absolutely Canada. Hello? We would like to bring all of our money to you, and we will accept some of that nationalized health care. I would like to make several appointments, like now.
Okay, guys, this is going to be a political post, so if you don't want to listen to politics from a white woman, that's completely great, and I respect that. Please swipe. I was born into a Republican family. I stopped believing in Republicans when I found out that the weapons of mass destruction was a complete lie fabricated by the Bush-Cheney to get into a forever war. Why did they do it? It's because Cheney was part of Halliburton, and when Cheney took the vice presidency, he had to quit Halliburton. They paid him over $34 million to quit. Halliburton then got a no-bid contract because of that. So that moment in time, you realize that the government, it's no longer for the people. The government is owned by corporations. They're owned by CEOs, and they will do everything in their power to further those companies. Okay. I am feeling what I believe a lot of minorities have been feeling for the last years, decades, centuries. Okay. And that is the realization that the government does not care about its people. Okay. Looking at this last election, whatever you voted, the numbers aren't there. When you have mathematicians telling you that the likelihood that a swing state, that the people in a swing state would vote blue Senate, red president, is like 1 in 5 billion. The math isn't mathing. And I held out hope, and I said, you know what? The Democrats, the liberals, ooh, they're being very quiet. So I'm thinking they're looking in the books, and they're scheming, and they're gonna make it right. Because I kept on saying, where's mom and dad? Where are the fucking adults here in Washington? Where are the people looking out for us, right? The government is supposed to be helping us. They don't care about us. And I sat for a long time this morning, and I was like, man, us white people are finally gonna feel, we're gonna feel what the government has been doing and what we have just been like sitting by and allowing our government, our police, our local whatever to do to the minorities. And we're gonna fucking feel it, and it's gonna hurt, because we're not used to that, are we? Are we? So you know what? They can sit this one out. Us white people, this is our up and comings, because we allowed all this to happen. Because we thought we were safe. Because we had the, what is it called? The complexion for protection. And I'm still holding out hope, because what he is doing is just, it's not good. It's not going to be good. And if you think you're safe because you voted MAGA, think again. My parents voted MAGA. Do you know how old they are? 70 and 71. Do you know what they're relying on? Social Security. Okay? My brother-in-law is a born citizen. His parents are illegals. Voted MAGA. It is scary. It is scary, and I'm afraid, and I'm white. But I feel it. I feel the betrayal. I feel it, and now I don't even have faith in the Democrats. I don't have faith in anybody in Washington, because they're all bought. They're all bought. And they're going to allow a convicted rapist into the White House again. And he's going to do everything he can to gut this country. And he's going to cut ties to all of our allies, and you don't even know what's coming. Ugh. Like, I know Kamala's just doing her job, but that speech today, and I'm not saying that there should be an insurrection, because I didn't believe it in the other part, but I'm like, when you can't even protect the people that voted you in, we voted Biden in, and we voted Kamala in, and we voted all these representatives and these senators in to protect us, and then all they're going to do is protect their self-interest. So you know what? What am I? I'm just a white woman from the Midwest, but I personally want to apologize to every single minority in this country. And I am going to say to you guys to be safe. And you know what? You protect yourself. You protect yourself. You protect your energy. You protect your spirituality. You protect your house, your home. And you hunker down, and you let us feel the uncomfortableness and the injustice that we allowed into this White House. Because we fucking deserve it. Fucking deserve it. Us white people deserve it. We do. We have been the problem since 1492 in this country. Make America great again? Yeah. Go back to 1490. That's when it all went to shit. Unbelievable.
Well, hey, Blue Lulus. Good morning. So I was fully crashing out yesterday. No lie, I was crashing out, and I promised that I would keep it real with you no matter what. The hope that I've given you all along the way was real, and the despair that I was feeling yesterday, also entirely real. So I want to say thank you for all of those who just allow me to go on this journey with you and are okay with me just saying how I feel and being who I am. And I was fully ready to throw in the towel yesterday, and I've got a lot going on. Like, when I took Yogi into the vet, it was exactly a year from the time that I had to put down my last dog and all the election, all the things. And I think I wanted to give up because I'm exhausted. Like, I am so tired. And it feels like the weight of the world has been sitting on my shoulders. And I was misinformed about the way that the check marking happened. I was under the impression that the check marking that happened on the 13th was enough for the three-letter agencies to have come in, and that in that interim would be the time in which they could introduce information that could have been pertinent to the situation yesterday. I also believed that they really were going to try Rule 14.3, because to me, still, that would have been the most steadfast and clean-cut way in which they could have prevented this whole Joker situation from happening, because it required 2/3 of both houses to remove that disqualification, and that was a hurdle that he would not be able to supersede. So in my opinion, I thought that that was the clearest way in order for this to happen, and I had put all of my eggs in those baskets erroneously. I shouldn't have done that. But it turns out that the ceremony yesterday was not solely ceremonial, even though the Wonder Woman's position in the ceremony itself was official. And so now that that official proceeding has happened, the check has been cashed. The person has walked out of the store with the candy bar. And if something were to happen with the three-letter agencies, that could not have happened until today. Almost instantaneously, the place where Paris is said that Dark Batman had absolutely intervened inappropriately and illegally in their costume contest, and they're threatening to seize his assets and potentially throw him in jail. That would be nice. And that reminded me of something that the Empress had said about how this is not just about us. I've talked about how it's just about us, but I think I just forgot there for a minute in all of my despair. And she was right. Like, this isn't just about us. He's already talking about liberating the people of Britain, not to mention our allies to the north, that they're still talking about making that the 51st state. Like, these are not little threats. And so we have obligations to the people that we are allies with. And I think if something were to happen and we just like rolled on over, that would damage not only us but the entire world. And so we'd be remiss in thinking that absolutely nothing could or would happen still, right? And I had turned off the TV and made that video before I had heard about the privileged resolutions that were put in place, just like scrambled there at the end, and they shut all the cameras off. And it turns out that we can't read whatever resolutions they hoped to put in place. They're a secret. So we will find out about those today at 11 o'clock. And yes, I saw them. Thank you for tagging me in them. I'll be watching to the best of my ability. I'm at work today, but I will be keeping an eye out for what happens. And yeah, I saw the penguin, the vice penguin there on the floor, and I was watching it in real time, and I was thinking the same thing that you guys were thinking. I'm like, isn't this what you changed your entire identity for, penguin? Like, why the long face? I mean, he looked like he was gonna puke. He was like, like the whole time. And that was weird. And I also went over to the Joker Central to see how he would be boasting today, and he wasn't. He was deflecting quite a lot. He was mad at the WAPO about the article that they posted that had to do with the Maverick, and then he was also just talking more about Canada, but he didn't say anything about yesterday either. And a lot of you guys started following me from the video that I made talking about the long pause that he had after the costume contest, and how when you go back into your shell, narcissists tend to like recluse first before they lash out. And maybe that was a little bit of that yesterday. So I don't know. I said yesterday that despair is defined as the feeling that tomorrow could not possibly be better than today, and that feeling is always false. And apparently I was talking to myself, because I think today might be better than yesterday. I don't know. I'm still on the Blue train. I'm a little bit more apprehensive. I'm a little bit blue curious today. But I am so grateful for you guys. Thank you for holding a candle for me. Thank you for letting me hold space for the way that I was truly feeling. And I really, really appreciate you. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna keep telling you what I'm seeing, and I don't know, I'm not gonna make any more promises or dates because I've learned my lesson about that, but I'm still watching. And I'm still here with you, and I hope you're still here with me, and we'll just kind of keep it moving, okay? So keep your eyes up, keep your feet on the ground, and I will see you next time. Ta-da!
So breaking news this morning. Special Counsel Jack Smith's report on Trump is apparently set to release at least a first part on Friday. As early as Friday, January 10th, which is interesting. What else is happening on January 10th? Right, Trump's sentencing. Crazy. Now, it's important to note that, of course, Trump's legal team has already submitted a call to get this, obviously, to not be released. Obviously. There's no indication whether Judge McGarland is actually going to stop it. This is probably going to move forward. There's going to be at least part 1 released to Congress, and then there's a good chance the redacted version will be released to the public on January 10th, as early as January 10th. So stay tuned. This could be a very juicy document.
You guys know who Brandon Biggs is? He's like a, I guess, prophet. He doesn't, I don't think necessarily call himself anything, but I'm going to call him a prophet. And he called the New Orleans attack. He called the Las Vegas attack. He called Justin Trudeau being removed. And the last I saw, he's calling something big for January 10th.
January, to pray over the 10th of January. But I started going over things in my spirit, just rolling things over, just driving around today, just praying in the spirit and just asking the Lord, what is it? What's going on right now?
And so far, he's been right. I'm not big into like psychics and mediums and all of that, or even prophets. But when I see somebody posting things in advance that are going to happen and then they happen, I trust them. So he's saying he's seeing January 10th. He's seeing January 10th. He's seeing January 10th. But he can't really say what. Or he hasn't said what. I don't know. Keep staying positive.
I keep getting the question. I'm going to answer the question, okay? Yes, I still have hope. Hope is not going anywhere. I don't plan on losing hope. Okay, everybody? Glad we cleared that up.
And this right here is why I'm staying optimistic, y'all. You can literally type this into Google and you will get what I'm about to show you, but let's walk through it together. So once you Google this, you will get to the Justice Manual on the government's website. And in Title IX, Section 85, this section, as you can read right here, has to deal with interference in elections. I know you're tired, but stay with me. And this is just scroll down a little bit in the same paragraph. I can let you guys get a good look at that if you need to. But essentially, it's saying that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, essentially cannot get involved in a criminal investigation involving an election until the election has been concluded and its results certified. And basically that doing otherwise would run the risk of interfering with other stuff that's going on and perhaps making things worse. And I know, obviously, I'm aware that the last couple of days, the expectation was that we were going to see something at the election certification on the 6th, but obviously that did not go as we intended it to. So I just want to make sure that in all of my videos at some point I'm saying that none of this is guaranteed. I want people to have hope, but I don't want people to get to the point where they get their hopes up. I know how terrible of a feeling that is, so I really want to try to avoid that. So I'll say this again, none of this is confirmed 100% going to happen. If it were, I would be literally shouting from the rooftops, jumping for joy right now. But what we can do is examine our Constitution, the amendments, all the rules that our forefathers hundreds of years ago put into place to protect us. And trust that the leaders that we have elected, Democratic and Republican, though I don't have as much faith in the latter, that they know these rules and that they're prepared and that they know what they're doing.
Remember, this is chess, not checkers. You got homework. Google this. Then come back here to give me your thoughts. Just a reminder, the shoplifter cannot be arrested unless they walk out of the store with the item without paying for it. The FBI or any DOJ agency could not get involved until after January 6th. So we're going to find out if there are people who will still fight to protect our democracy. And if they don't, once again, we will adapt and act accordingly. But I have a good feeling about this one. This one, I have a lot more faith in than Congress. We could be paying witness to one of the biggest crimes in the history of our country. And I'm here to watch the takedown. This is still in play. DJT is a liar and a cheater, and he always tells on himself. So stay hopeful, trust your gut, and always know you are not crazy.
Ballot fraud is a crime involving the process by which voters are registered, votes are cast, or votes are tabulated. The department has long recognized that the states, not the federal government, are responsible for administering elections, determining the validity of votes, and tabulating the results, with challenges handled by the appropriate election administrators, officials, legislatures, and courts. The department has a limited role in these processes. And should generally avoid interfering or appearing to interfere with election administration, tabulation, validation, or certification. The department's role is limited to investigating and prosecuting violations of federal election laws and deterring criminal conduct. Accordingly, the department should not engage in overt criminal investigative measures in matters involving alleged ballot fraud until the election in question has been concluded, its results certified, and all recounts and election contests concluded. Doing otherwise runs the risk of chilling legitimate voting and campaign activities and of interjecting the investigation itself into ongoing campaigns and the education of any ensuing election contest. It may, however, often be appropriate in consultation with the Public Integrity Section to share information and allegations involving such matters with state or local authorities where an immediate need for overt measures exists. Exceptions to this policy may be recognized, but only with the approval of the Public Integrity Section.
Accordingly, the department should not engage in overt criminal investigative measures in matters involving alleged ballot fraud until the election in question has been concluded, its results certified, and all recounts in election contests concluded.
9-85-300. Type it in your Google bar, hit search, and just know our girl, Mamala, she really does. She really does know what the hell she's doing. All right, for anybody who doubted that, I know it's been rough the past day or so watching that certification, but man, shit's about to pop off. And just in time too, because did you hear that the Orange Man wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico Gulf of America? Is that not like the fucking craziest thing you've ever heard? Come on, man, let's get this ball rolling. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the revolution. Stay cool.
Hi guys, I just went and googled 9-85.300. 9-85 period 300. Google it. I wonder, do they know? Did they set the trap? Is it gonna work? We'll see.
All right, sorry. I know the other one was kind of vague. I heard the information and I just went ping and immediately recorded. So bear with me. My phone's dying. I don't have the microphone plugged in. What I was talking about is the update of the European Union now talking about going after first boyfriend specifically for EI. More specifically, because he, according to them, allegedly, intended to do EI over there in some of the tests in their Union of Nations. So France already said the same thing. They said, hey, we have proof of him and EI, and we want to go after him, and we're thinking of taking his assets. That is multiple countries within the European Union that are now saying, we want to go after that guy for doing that and for trying to do it over here. So add that to the fact that this dude has not been able to be quiet about it here. He wasn't quiet about it in advance. He was talking about it in advance. He told people to bet on it. He was showing people the exact map. He was giving them exact numbers. Like, he was not quiet about it. It was not a secret, okay? And when it all went off without a hitch, and no one said anything, speedy concession, no one saying, hey, stop, let's look at this. No one, everyone just said, nope, we don't see anything. No denying over here. Go ahead. And what did they do? They immediately went door to door. He took that shit door to door and he told them. So, yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm going to do a podcast episode on this because, like, I can go all the way back and lay it out, and God, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Did I not tell you guys that the way to the smelly one was going to be through the side door? I said it's going to be him. They're going to go in through the boyfriend. That's where they're going to get him from the side. It's going to be him because he's the one doing the shit. I mean, smelly one is too, but this one is doing the big shit and bragging about it and is not being shy about what else he wants to do. And it will be easier for the worshipers to swallow it if it goes through him first, and then it's Dumpty adjacent. So an agency or an outside power, because something that did have an international effect, that broke a law that affected other folks, that gave them the ability to now, okay, go in after first boyfriend, and through that door, well, what else might come out? Seeing as they're all going after him specifically for EI and they have so much proof of it, I'm sure somewhere in that proof of him saying he was going to do it to them too, well, he would have had to have talked about what he did over here, right? If he's selling it from door to door. Okay, do you get it now? Do you get it? Sorry, the other one was vague. I got excited. Okay, do you smell it? Do you smell it?
Did you guys hear the news out of North Carolina? Of course not, because it hasn't made the mainstream media, which is exactly the reason this app needs to remain. Now, this is a story that Republicans really don't want you to know about, exactly why I'm going to talk about it. And it has to do with interference in our election. So the liberal Supreme Court leaning judge just won in North Carolina, and they're supposed to certify the vote. However, the Republicans decided they were going to block the certification of the vote. And now we're waiting while the Republicans try to steal the win for the Supreme Court pick in North Carolina. I highly recommend you look it up, but this is disturbing. First reported 10 hours ago, but I thought everybody should know because I don't think most people have heard about this.
So I've had a lot of people in the aftermath of the certification talking about how there's language in some of the executive orders and other places around election interference investigations that until the certification is done, they can't actually investigate it. They can't announce an investigation. They don't want it to be publicized that they are looking into something, simply because it could be viewed as weaponized partisanship and it could be viewed as a political attack against one candidate. And I agree. The language that I have seen does reflect that, and I think that's a fair interpretation. Here's the issue that I have. My confidence in the American justice system, in the very fabric of the agencies that we have to protect us, is at an all-time low. Donald Trump incited an insurrection on January 6th, 2021, and yet he was allowed to run again. And yet he won again. He was allowed to let Elon Musk buy an election. Right? Like, this is the problem that I have, is that by saying now we can go after those crimes, we've been going after his crimes for 8 years. And for what? What do we have to show for it? He was impeached twice, but never convicted in the Senate. Got to just keep being president, even though we said twice we have no confidence in your ability to do this job. I think the issue that I have is just ultimately I am waiting for someone, anyone, an agency, the Constitution itself, anyone within this mechanism to do something.
So I would love if this was something. I don't see anything yet that makes me believe that this is anything other than somebody who was not very good at their job. And the reason I say that is because I've run into that scenario more than once, and I'll show you one right now. So here's Johnson County, Iowa, and if you click on the final turnout, you get this spreadsheet. And if you start looking closely at the spreadsheet, you'll see crazy things. I'm trying to find one of these places. Like, you'll see that between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., this precinct actually lost votes, which is obviously not possible. So I was like, what on earth is going on here? And then I noticed that at the top. And David Manasco and I were working on this together. We were like, oh my God, this is something massive. I went and I printed out all these different results, and I sat with like a ruler and a highlighter trying to piece together what that chart should look like. And what I found is like literally somebody grabbed the 2022 spreadsheet, filled in the registration totals for this year, and then posted it. So like the numbers are completely wrong. But once I assembled what it's supposed to be, I saw that, oh, this person just like completely screwed up.
So, did you do your homework? Justice Manual 9-85.300. If you haven't done it yet, do it now. Google Justice Manual 9-85.300. Then come back here for the video. Now look, I'm seeing videos and receiving comments from people in this community about people like Jamie Raskins, Adam Schiff, VP Harris, Biden, Hakeem Jeffries, basically saying, hey guys, our hands are up. We're stepping out of the way. We are not going to fight DJT. He will be in charge on January 20th. For all intents and purposes, the blue team has stepped out of the way. They have moved out of the way and let the Reds take over. Don't you guys think it's a bit odd that on January 6th, there were no objections? The last time we had a confirmation that went by without any objections was 1989, 35 years ago. And I got another question. Even though the blue team has gotten out of the way, why is DJT still scared? Why is he still claiming there is no peaceful transfer? Narcissists always telling themselves, if he has a reason to be scared, there must be one out there. Remember, before the cops can come get the shoplifter has to leave the store with the item without paying for it. And if there was some shoplifting, it happened on January 6th. Now I hear what you're saying. Alex, come on. This is a long shot. It's practically a miracle. You know what I say to that? You're right. It's a miracle. And I am someone that believes in miracles. Being alive today is a miracle. Not everyone makes it. There are newborns every day that don't even make it out of the medical room. Anyone that doesn't believe being alive today is not a miracle is super privileged. Many are told every day they will never accomplish their goals, and they defy the odds every time. Miracles happen more often than you think. They might not all be grand and dramatic. Sometimes a miracle is something very small that changes everything. Just because something isn't guaranteed doesn't mean it's impossible. If there's even a sliver of a chance for justice, why not hold out hope for it? Why not be boldly, enthusiastically wrong? Let others talk. They don't believe in miracles. Let these other so-called wannabe Christians who say that they're realists, let them talk. They don't matter. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength to continue having hope when it feels like there isn't any. And whether or not this particular miracle comes to pass or not, the act of hope, believing, and fighting for something, that's real power. And that's exactly where miracles come from. So I have a question for you. Do you believe in miracles? Because I do. Stay hopeful. Trust your gut. And no matter what happens, please know you are not crazy. They are not playing by the rules. 2 videos I want you to watch. One from KC Votes, the other from Kalo. They talk about 2 situations. The situation in North Carolina about them tossing the results and doing whatever they want, completely disregarding the law and breaking the rules. And then what AG Mr. Paxton said about what happened here in Texas. Long story short, suppression. Go watch those videos for more details. But here is what I'm going to say. Stop pretending we're all playing the same damn game. I am sick and tired of these people acting like we can just wait 2 and 4 years, play by the rules, and expect any real change going forward. That's not the reality we live in anymore. They are breaking the rules in our faces. And the blue team is just sitting back flexing that they played by the rules. Look at us. We showed decorum. Look at us. We're playing by the rules. We're better people. No, you're not. You are sitting back and watching evil happen and do nothing about it. That means you're just as bad. This is not how democracy works. We're supposed to keep each other in line. What is the point to any of this if they're going to break the rules and not be held accountable? This needs to be called out. Everyone needs to be speaking up. This is not okay. And we need to say it's not okay, because that is how we bring about real change. Complying in advance does not do anything. Hunkering down, disassociating does not do anything. We have to stay in the fight. If you have a voice and you have a platform, call this out. Don't just sit back and let it happen. That's why they do it. This is against the rules. This is breaking the law. Criminals are currently making decisions and we're all just going along with it. And it needs to stop. They're not going to play by the rules. So throw out the handbook. We need to fight. Do not comply in advance. Stay hopeful. Trust your gut. And know you're not crazy.
I do not care who really won or really lost the election. It has nothing to do with the point that I am making. Would it have been nice for the person who won to be the one who's not going to make my life way more difficult as a multiply marginalized person? Yeah, I would have really liked that. But that's not what happened. And I'm not sitting here saying, oh, she really won, because the truth is, it doesn't matter to the point that I'm making. If a student were to cheat on a math test, even if they really would have gotten 100 on that math test, but they cheated, they still cheated. Cheating is wrong. Am I saying for certain that he cheated? No, I can't. I can't do a forensic audit from my apartment. But what I am looking at is very clear signs that there is a possibility that manipulation happened. What I'm seeing is that we need further attention on this data. Because, I don't know, when a lying cheater tells me he's a lying cheater and says he's gonna lie and cheat, I take him at face value. Maybe that's crazy. I don't know.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were never going to run up to Trump and say, hey, you cheated. They were never going to come and bring their Secret Service to arrest him or slap cuffs on him. It's not up to them. It's up to the Department of Justice. And it's good that it's separate. So, really hearing things from Harris and Biden and how they're just, following through with the procedures and the picture of Trump sitting next to Biden and Biden smiling ear to ear. I'm not discouraged by those because they're not going to be involved with the investigation. They're separate. The same way that when we hear, certain things like Jeffrey saying the election was fair or whatever, he wouldn't know the exact details. And then we know from the FBI's election interference manual that they're not supposed to interfere until the election's certified. And the analogy I've heard is, you can walk around in the store all you want with a candy bar in your pocket, but until you actually step out of the doors, nobody can stop you because you can easily claim, oh, I just, that was just easier to hold. I wasn't actually going to steal it, blah, 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 blah. So I'm trying not to get discouraged that we haven't seen a lot of movement yet because I don't think they really could have done anything until Monday. So hopefully we see stuff soon. I'm still hopeful. And we know the truth. It's just whether or not they'll be held accountable.
Y'all, I think I'm going crazy. So do me a favor. Watch the clip that I tagged. Just click the arrow. Watch the whole thing. And verify something for me. Did I just hear mainstream media, MSNBC, where the person being interviewed literally just said, involving Mr. Biden and DJT, that the DOJ should get involved? Did I just actually hear that from mainstream media? I just need y'all to go verify it. Because I've listened to it 3 times, and each time I still don't believe I heard what I heard. Did they actually just mention the possibility of the DOJ getting involved within these next 12 days? Yeah, please go verify that and then come back here to tell me if I'm crazy or not, because if I heard what I thought I heard, we might want to strap in.
The reason I wrestle with that is this chapter comes to an end in 12 days. Accountability's gone. Donald Trump's not going to prison, and he gets to start rewriting history along with the Republican Party. And what I struggle with is we have heard from candidate Biden about his concerns about Donald Trump, but perhaps use the power of the presidency on his way out. But they declarative. The Department of Justice has found these things, and I see Donald Trump as having violated the office of the presidency. I have concerns about the presidency going forward. It would be so historically unusual, but so is what we're living through right now.
Okay, so I just saw a news thing that might end up confirming one of the insights that my guides gave me on December 30th. There were more on that list, and I did not post all of them, and I have permission to share them. But I wanted to put it out there, not so much to say like, see, I was right, but just as documentation that I was a little bit plugged in before. Like I've worked with my clients and my family and myself for years now, getting downloads and having intuitive hits and using cards and stuff. Anyway, this is the first time since the costume contest that I've asked if I can speak to the collective and know about these bigger picture things. Anyway, I am going to post a photo after this about some of the other things too. And again, free will is a thing. I got this information. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen just like that, or, it's never as cookie cutter, right? Some things are symbolic. I don't know, when you get these, but I just wanted to put it out there. And it looks like one of them has a chance of really happening. And I think if you've watched anything recently, you will know which one it is. So anyway, thanks for helping me. Be brave, guys. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here and building a little community with me. Here it comes.
Like many of you, the closer we get to Inauguration Day, the more I've been worried that my hopium might be copium and that stuff might not actually happen. I take solace in the fact that, at any point, the news could have addressed these growing theories, especially Fox News. It would be real easy to dunk on me and creators like me and call us BlueAnon and get millions of clicks and interactions and, say, see, we're not alone. Dems, they, liberals, leftists, they have conspiracy theories of their own, but nobody's touched it. Nobody's touched it. In fact, when somebody's tried to touch it, a reporter at Midas Touch, she had to quit or be fired. I don't know exactly what happened, but they wouldn't let her. I think there might be a gag order on discussing what's going on. Because it would be really, really easy for leadership, for anybody to say, hey, there's nothing to this. But it's been months and they haven't. And we know from the FBI's election interference manual that they're not supposed to interfere until the vote is certified. So I don't know if that means it was just Monday, January 6th. So I'm not sure. It seems like right now we're really in that spot where either everything's happening in the background or nothing. And it's absolutely terrifying and it feels helpless not to know which of the two is going on. But, I mean, even a blind person could look around and say, hey, there's a lot of fucked up shit going on that might be connected, because there's really no other explanation for a lot of this stuff that's happening. And everybody knows that there's weird stuff going on. All the election interference around the world, the drones, all the weird messages that Dem leadership have been saying, Trump crashing out, asking the CIA to help him, Elon Musk and the whole I'll go to prison if Trump doesn't win, him having private conversations with our enemies' leaders. Like, there is so much going on. And honestly, I've moved past the fact of wondering, okay, am I right? Am I wrong? I know with 100% certainty I am right. The experts have said I am right. There's been proof that has come out. And now it's not a matter of if we were right or if we were wrong. It is a matter of whether or not the Department of Justice is going to do something about it. And I'm not sure if they will, but I hope they do.
Is anybody else as calm and collected as I am after what I thought would be a very disorienting piece of news today?
This is how we do it. This is how we do it. La, 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 la.
Well, it's over. It's all the way over. And I want so badly to be able to give you guys some hope and something airtight to cling on to that will help you in the next coming days and weeks. I promise as soon as I find something I'll tell you, but I got nothing right now. Except for we do have each other. I'm still here with you. You're still here with me, I hope. And all the people who said that they were just gonna roll over were right. They didn't even try. They didn't even fight. And I was talking yesterday about like how I'm gonna proceed after this, and like, will I still be able to call myself like a Democrat, really? Because they didn't even try. It's all game to them. You know, like I've talked about my husband before, and he's like a former McCain Republican who's now an independent, and he was like, they really are all the same. Like, everybody on both sides, like, they appear to be really separate, but they're actually all the same. They're playing a long game. He's like, the people on the blue team are just trying to play a game. They want things to go badly so that it will be good for them in 2 years, but they're pretending as if the 2 years is actually going to happen, but it's probably not. They think that if things get bad enough that people will wake up and realize what had happened, but they're naive to just how brainwashed they are, and they didn't take the responsibilities that they needed to take in order to protect us from that, because they actually will benefit from our suffering just as much as the red team does, because that will equal more electoral wins for them later, even though I don't believe that will actually be the case. We know that the red team got the software that they needed, and that they were able to manipulate it in statistically impossible ways in order to obtain this sort of victory. And so the idea that we'll ever be able to have any sort of electoral wins again is a complete fairy tale. It's not going to happen, because the only people that would be needed to be there would have to have a majority, and they won't. So where my content will go from here, I have no idea. I don't know if I could spend the next 4 years just talking about how terrible that the Joker is. And I don't know that I could advocate and push for us to stand behind the blue team either, because clearly they are just a bunch of cowards. And they didn't even try to save us from this horrible situation that we're walking ourselves into. No objections. No paperwork. They didn't even talk about why they put those sanctions in place. They just carried on and kept moving. And I don't know that I could continue to promote that from here. Brene Brown describes despair as the feeling that tomorrow cannot possibly be better than today. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't feel that right now. But she also said that that feeling is never true. So no matter where you're at, and no matter how low you feel, don't let that feeling eat you up. Don't let it stay there forever, because it's not true. You're here on purpose. You're here for a reason. We all decided to incarnate at this very place and time for some reason. We just can't see it right now. Okay, so take care of yourself. Turn away if you need to. Do what you gotta do. And we'll come back and regroup and figure something out as soon as the dust settles. But it's okay if it's just feeling a little bit too dusty for you right now. Keep your eyes up. Keep your feet on the ground. I'll see you next time.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
So did I get it wrong? Let's talk about it. This is an important topic to get into, not only because, hey, I've promised you I'm a psychic medium who knows her stuff, and a lot of you are doubting that right now, but also because a lot of you are just waking up with all this 4 a.m. stuff, and you are learning to do that dance with your intuition, to connect and trust in the divine, and that's a challenging journey. So let's talk about all of it. First and foremost, I occasionally get comments when I'm trying to get everyone to calm down. You've seen those videos in the past couple days. I get comments of people saying, oh, she's just backtracking. Fine if you want to interpret that way, but no, that's not what I'm doing. And in fact, in that video where I appeared to be backtracking on January 5th, you will actually see that I was correct. That in that video, I said there's a lot of hope for the 6th, a lot of anticipation, emotions are high, but tomorrow is a day just like any other, and I don't think we're gonna see a grand reveal. So when I do videos like that, I'm not walking back. I am trying to manage expectations and temper our emotions, which by the way is not even my responsibility. That's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to manage your emotions and for you to choose how you respond to the information that I put out and that anyone puts out, really. That's your personal responsibility. But I'm just helping you out as your psychic big sis, and as a healer, I'm providing what assistance I can when I feel the collective getting a little too wound up about this or that and the other. Second of all, I'm going to tell you that I still see her being installed as the next president. And I don't know what to tell you. I know for a lot of us, evidence out there looks to the contrary, fair. And I know the human side of me is like, oh dang, like really? But every time I tune into spirit and I ask, I get the same answer repeatedly. It is never once varied. And I have asked pretty much every single day, sometimes multiple times a day when I was really feeling like, okay, but really, but like really. And I've only been checking multiple times because I have an audience now who has put their trust in me. So I'm not just checking for me, I'm checking for you because I want to make sure that everything I put out, I feel confident and that I can stand by in the long term. And I have stood by everything I've said. I've never once backtracked or said, hey, let's change our expectation. I've just said we need to be loose. I've said that multiple times. I've said we need to not get too attached to what's going on out there. Said that multiple times. I've also said that this is about so much more than the 2 candidates. This is about the overall movement. So I've said a lot of things. And if you've only ever heard me say one thing and you've interpreted it some kind of way and then you're mad that that didn't happen, I need you to reflect on your relationship with what I've shared, and where you in your mind have maybe gone outside of what I've said and are now trying to project that on me. So now let's talk about what I have said that has happened. Now, largely what I've been talking about on here is healing. So that's a side of the psychic predictions. I have also talked about my experience. I'm feeling an energy wave. I'm feeling this. So that's my singular experience. I was just reporting on what was happening because I know it was happening to a lot of you. But what I did say that could then be verified by looking out in the world, I said that the Red Elephant Party would be fighting itself and would be imploding. That has happened. I said that there would be a lot of FAFO, that people who liked him and were fooled by him would find out, oh, he's not going to do what he said he was going to do. And one of the things I shared about that was an article. This is just one instance where women in the Red Mad Hatter Party were finding out, oh dang, turns out our movement is misogynistic. We also had the orange smelly one who later said, oh, turns out I actually can't lower costs on groceries. We also saw immediately after the contest companies saying, sorry, I can't pay my bonuses because everything's going to get real expensive. That whole thing happened. And lest we forget all the nonsense about the immigration and the H-1B visas and the fight that took on. I also said his cabinet appointees weren't going to go through. And some of that has been verified. Matt Gaetz has been ousted. And that's the only one I remember by name because I've tried not to pay too much attention to the news. But there was his appointment to the Department of Education, who came under fire because it turns out she doesn't actually have a college degree, or she lied about it. There was something about that. And so now her nomination is in question. And lest we forget Tulsi Gabbard, who has a national, what is it, national security? I just looked it up. National intelligence. And she's under fire for her ties to Syria and the regime that's imploding there. As for the rest of the cabinet, we're going to have to wait and see, but right away, that's pretty good. Now, the two biggest things that I did say is that this is bigger than what's happening here, and that this is largely about the rise of the divine feminine, and we have been seeing that. We've seen governments all around the world follow suit. That the people are saying, we're not going to do it that way anymore. They're rising up and they are pushing back. Very notably with the rise of the divine feminine in leadership, we saw that incredible haka. I get chills. I get chills every time I talk about it. I cry when I watch it. That incredible haka from the member of parliament in New Zealand that she led. We have seen Mexico's first, is she the first female president? Regardless, she's their current president, their female president, not only step up to the orange woman and his claims, but they have passed laws to give, is it Social Security? What do they do? To give women compensation for being homemakers and taking care of families. We also saw Colombia's female president, I believe, change the marriage laws to no longer allow underage marriages. These are just a few things that were big on a worldwide scale, but we're seeing it in small ways. What do you think the 4 a.m. Club is? This is a rise of the feminine. Those who awakened that night were largely female bodies, identify as femme. Most of the content creators who are talking about the 4 a.m. Club are women. And we're not just creating content, we are stepping up as leaders to guide people in this time, to give our insights and our intuition and our comfort. One thing I've also said is that this isn't just about the rise of the divine feminine, but it's a rise in populations who have been marginalized in our country and the world. And I've specifically called out the LGBTQ plus movement and the Black Indigenous people of color. And I love that the bulk of the leaders that I'm seeing in the 4 a.m. Club, the ones who are really talking about the political movements, are people of color. We're seeing Rock Cognizance, who I shouted out in a video earlier today, Gretchen's Got Questions, Casey Votes, Empress CJJ, an ethical psychic who's on the spiritual side as well. Now, these are just the things that I'm seeing within my narrow point of view, because like I said, I'm off the news and I'm pretty much just like in my house doing my thing all day. So I'm not out there in the world. This is just what I'm seeing, what one person is seeing. And I know there are thousands of more examples that you are seeing. Oh, also, a big one that we've been talking about is the numbers from the contest being falsified. Now, we don't have official word on that yet, but I've seen a number of brilliant creators break down the numbers and look at data. Nicole Plays Piano, I believe, fantastic, and so many others. We've also seen, I didn't mention, like in my predictions, I didn't mention any sort of executive order, but seeing that showed evidence that they are investigating, which I have said, that there is an investigation behind the scenes that they're not telling us. And then it turned out there was, at least that we've so far been able to verify. So far, no, I have not been wrong. Everything that has been verifiable has been verified. It's all happening. So then that leads us to the big question, is she still going to make it? Well, yesterday, January 6th, after they did what they did, I honestly expected that I would feel depressed or down or angry or confused or that, oh shit, now I have to backtrack. But I didn't feel that at all. I still felt elated. I still felt hope. And it wasn't even like, okay, rally, Gia, rally. It's like, that's just how I naturally felt. And I did that video where I stitched Sam and I told you that profound spiritual experience I had. I still see the end result. We're going to get the end result. And immediately after that spiritual experience, I saw, wait a minute, there were some resolutions put through. Congress wasn't yet done. So again, there is evidence that it's not over yet. Now, given all of that, you still have a choice. Do you want to trust me? Do you want to believe me? That is on you. That has always been on you. All I can do is tell you what I see and give you evidence that I am a trustworthy person, a trustworthy psychic, and I've just given you evidence that everything I've said has been verified. And that's the end of my responsibility. The rest is up to you. This video is already long enough, so I'm going to end it there. I'm going to do a part 2 when I talk about the spiritual perspective. What do we do when we lose faith in our spiritual connection?
It's 6 a.m. Eastern Time on January 9th, and I'm here to tell you that there was indeed election interference in the 2024 election, just not in the ways that you might expect. I mean, the full story is not out there, but there's 3 things that you need to know. The dictatorship in Venezuela is about to end because Maduro allegedly had won the elections last year in July 2024, but since more acts from polling places have been discovered, and it turns out that Maduro's opponent actually won the elections with 70% of the popular vote. These acts have been found, published online, and the physical acts have now been turned to the government of Panama for their custody. González Urrutia, the opponent to Maduro, is now in a tour of the region looking for allies. And tomorrow, the 10th of January, he's going back to Venezuela to claim power, despite the fact that there's an order out for his arrest.
Even if the worst case scenario happens and Velveeta Voldemort gets in, doesn't matter how much money he has, he's not going to live forever. So eventually, he will be taking a long nap.
My sister and I are part of the 4 a.m. club. We both woke up at the same time, down to the minute, the morning after the election. We both told each other about it before we heard of this 4 a.m. club the next day, and we kind of just chalked it up to we were both very emotionally invested into this election. And then we saw it started pulling up on our FYP page, and it just got us thinking, like, how many people are actually part of this 4 a.m. club? Is it just a handful and they're showing up on our FYP because, you know, AI? Or are there really that many of us? If you wouldn't mind, comment on here if you also woke up between 3 and 4 a.m. The morning after the election, if you're part of this club. Just a little experiment to see how many of us there really are. I just wanted to check in with our 4 a.m. club family and see how we were all feeling. Are you starting to lose hope? Is it time that we accept it is what it is and hunker down with our families and try to take care of each other in our little communities? Or do we still think there's a chance? I have to admit, I'm very new at listening to my own intuition. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Okay, there's something I need people to understand because I know I've been posting about a lot of election tomfoolery, but okay, listen to me. So, I know people are calling us BlueAnon, people are calling us crazy, delusional, whatever, okay? Here's the underlying theme to this, and I think when people kind of understand what I'm talking about, you'll realize, because I've had to explain it to people that I'm like, no. Okay, one of the biggest tenets of fascism is that they want you to obey in advance. In fact, a lot of times they don't have issues with people complying because they'll do it ahead of time. The majority of the country is doing it right now. By shunning, calling us Delulu, whatever, you're complying in advance. They've already tried to push to see. Because the reason why we're not being delusional. The data from this election doesn't match any data, like the actual numbers do not match any previous cycles. There's a data anomaly that tends to be in data coming out of the Cold R country for their last like 10 election cycles because, you know, Daddy Vladdy has taken over and will not leave, okay? It started to develop this anomaly. There's a creator on here who talks about her 2 cats, okay? This data anomaly has a specific name. I don't want to say it on here because I don't want it to get moderated. But she looked at the hard numbers from this particular beauty pageant cycle and saw this same data anomaly in our data. So that is the thing. We're not basing this. For a minute, it was kind of on vibes. I'm not going to lie. That I feel you on that. But once the numbers and the hardcore facts came back and we looked at the data and was like, oh, holy fuck, that's when it shifted from being a vibes only kind of halfway delulu situation to an actual situation in which we were realizing that they were pushing us to see how far we would comply in advance. Because you see, most of this country has failed this test, regardless of if you are on the blue team or the red team. They already know that you will comply in advance because you're ignoring the numbers. You're ignoring the data. You're ignoring the data anomalies. You're complying in advance. Challenger and Chernobyl were situations where people had complied in advance and also engaged in groupthink. The reason for not obeying in advance is to not engage in groupthink. Groupthink is when everybody only thinks one way and does not question their authority at all. And a lot of times people die as a result of not questioning authority, mostly because you don't think outside the box. Nobody looks at it from a different angle. That's why there is DEI initiatives in companies, so that people don't miss giant red flags, because it has literally killed people throughout history. Chernobyl's another example. The USSR, they were not allowed to question authority. Same result. In fact, like a big chunk of the Ukraine was like not obliterated, but is now completely useless. It's not that we're delusional, we are not complying in advance. I also think that's why we have Dior bags in the sky. They're looking to see how far we will go, what we will believe, without questioning. Unfortunately, a rather large chunk of this country has failed the test because you're not questioning the numbers. You're not questioning the data from the beauty pageant. You're not questioning any of it. You're not looking in the books. We're literally looking at the data anomalies and the law, manuals to see where these things line up. Are there laws about it? Are there not laws about it? What has to be in place before those laws can be activated or enacted? Yeah, this isn't what people think it is. It isn't based on vibes anymore. It is literally based on numbers and our refusal to comply in advance. Unfortunately, the majority of this country, when they roll this shit out, they're gonna just fall lockstep behind. They keep testing us and we keep failing.
I really don't know what to make of this, guys. As soon as I saw that the judge wanted Trump to get sentenced on the 10th, I was like, that's a very particular date. Why is that a very particular date? Well, we had a new moon at 9 Cancer on December 30th, and we'll have a full moon on January 13th at 20. My phone wants go juice. We'll have a full moon on the 13th at 23:59 Cancer, and January 11th. January 11th. What day is that? Oh, that's right. The North Node true calculation returns to the Aries point on January 11th. This is set for Phoenix, 4:01 p.m. If you're into draconic astrology, this would be the draconic chart matches the chart of the tropical Western once every 18 and a half years. It is a resetting of timelines. Well, look, when was the last time that the North Node was at 00 Aries? June 22nd, 2006. Yeah. June 2006, he starts meeting these Playboy models. And June 2006, humps up with one, and July 2006, the other one. 18 and a half later, it just so happens that the Friday before, because, they don't have court on Saturdays. It's the day before the North Node returns to the Aries point. The world stage, the initiation of energy on Earth. He's going to get sentenced. Just some other insane stuff about this moment. I set the chart for, this is the Cancer full moon chart, actually. And on the full moon, wherever you are, the lot of fortune is always the descendant. And there's an exact conjunction of Machiavelli asteroid and Pluto on the descendant for New York City on the 13th. Can't make it up, folks. And then we could look at noon on Friday. Uranus is in the 23rd degree of Taurus, and it's stationary. It is it doesn't station direct until January 30th, but it doesn't move more than half a degree between now and then. It's just chilling out. Asteroid Grieve will be conjunct Donald Trump's natal Neptune, and Moon, Mercury, and Mars will all be out of bounds on Friday, the 10th. Asteroid Machiavelli is also out of bounds, and it's out of bounds on Trump's natal chart, as well as his Pluto is out of bounds, which I don't know that I've ever seen a Pluto out of bounds before. I'm sure I have, but it's unusual. The outer planets don't really go out of bounds very often. And of course, his Mercury out of bounds and parallel his out of bounds Pluto, and that's part of what gives somebody a really nasty, nasty mind for manipulation. And I don't care what side you're on, you can't deny that. The man spent the 80s cheating other people out of their money, going bankrupt, and really, truly ruining the lives of many Americans. Just because you're into The Apprentice or whatever and you think he's a great person doesn't take away everything that he did his whole life. Friday, the 10th, at noon in New York City, asteroid Machiavelli, 1 Aquarius conjunct Pluto, 1 Aquarius, they're less than half a degree apart. And this is really interesting because the sun is at 20 Capricorn. In the beginning of the year, I was talking about that for months and months and months, was that January 10th, we had this new moon at 20 degrees Capricorn that exactly squared the nodes of fate. And that degree, 20 Capricorn, we read the Sabian symbol as the next whole degree, 21 Capricorn, a relay race. So we had a new moon square the nodes of fate at 20 Capricorn, square 20 Aries, and 20 Libra. And the Sabian symbols for all of these, 21 Capricorn, a relay race. The south node was on the degree in Libra, which is like crowds gathered on a beach. And the north node was on a pugilist enters the ring, a boxer enters the ring. That was where we were headed with this turning point in fate that we started 2024 with, the new moon at 20 degrees Capricorn. And now he has to show up to court on the day that's that same degree, January 10th again, and get sentenced. But June 2006, July 2006 starts with Playboy models, and that is the last time the North Node was on the Aries point, the world stage. You can't make this stuff up, folks.
I'm glad to see I'm not the only creator on the app thinking this, but the math ain't mathing. And I've been trying to tell myself that I am being delusional, I am coping, I'm trying to make sense of this reality, but I need to accept that this is the reality now, but my intuition is still going off. And I remember 3 days before Election Day, I turned to my husband and I said, here's what I think. Kamala is going to win the popular vote. However, something very evil is about to happen. I don't know how, but something very evil is about to happen. And just think about how diabolical the possibility of this is, okay? So Trump spends 4 years saying that the election was stolen, inciting an insurrection, claiming fraud, kind of laying the groundwork to where if there actually was any fraud coming from his end, coming from the end that has Elon Musk in support and ties with Putin, people that have the power to do very sketchy, nefarious things. None of us can cry fraud or ask for a recount because of what happened 4 years ago. But when Trump was saying that he and Mike Johnson had a little secret, I 100% believe this has something to do with Elon as well, especially how late in the game Joe Rogan endorsed Trump and how he included a flowery message to Elon in that tweet. But this year, we had a record voter registration and record early voting turnout. And somehow, there are 18 million less votes than in 2020. I don't believe that many people were apathetic. I don't. Not to mention the fact that the results were called so quickly, I couldn't even keep up with it election night. I was working election night, and I knew that it was going to take a couple of days to get all the votes tabulated. Imagine my shock when 30 minutes into the vote counting, states were already being called. And I want y'all to think for a second what Trump's perfect election would look like in his head, aside from being just a full sweep, all red states. If you look at the map, there's only like a couple blue states. It looks like the reddest election map I've ever seen. And Trump also wanted results early. He wanted the results to be known on election night. That's what he wanted in 2020. He is getting everything he wanted. And some other creators have pointed out that he has been way too quiet since winning, since getting everything he wanted. That's not like him. He's going to use every opportunity to boast and brag that he can. Why are they being so quiet? I realize that these kind of thoughts do put me into conspiracy theory territory. But I expect a con man to con. I expect a cheater to cheat. I expect a man who projects everything that he does on other people to do exactly what he is accusing other people of doing. I'm just saying, lay low for a while, maybe call your representatives, check vote.org to make sure your vote was counted, and wait. Be patient, lay low, and wait.
I want to talk about how this report thing ties to the completion of I'm cray thing, because I think they go together. I'm going to tag a friend's video because I'm too lazy to find the one that's in my playlist or on the podcast. But we've said before, remember, certain agencies, and it's written in the regulations. My friend can show you because I'm too lazy right now. But y'all were like, where'd you find it? It's literally right there. They can't intervene because then that would interfere with any suspicions or investigations if they want to do one. It's at state level until the transaction is complete. And then after that congressional level, that's when agencies can get involved because it's complete. They have left the store with the stolen merchandise. That is correct. We've talked about this before. We talked about this weeks ago. So now, keeping that in mind, if there's potentiality, if you know you did something, you're hoping you got away with it. And, like my friend saying, Vance's face, I know some of you are like, he had surgery. I thought he was in the military. A little surgery's got him looking like that? Come on. I don't think so. He's a big boy. That wasn't post-surgery pain face. That was borderline panic attack face at moments. So riddle me this. If you did something you didn't want to get in trouble for, and you had a feeling that in this small window of time, there's a possibility something could swoop in. Not the dams, but an agency or a bigger one for international, either or, okay? Is that the time that you want that little report that details all that stuff you did released to the public? Right. And then to the folks who keep asking me about the National Archives thing, yes, I saw, I keep saying it looks like a typo, but they left it there all day. And that's the part that bothers me. It's not that it's a typo, it's that they left it. why leave it? That has to be such an easy thing to fix. Or if it wasn't a typo or a mistake of some kind, whatever it was, easy to fix. Why leave it all day? So I'm going to check again tomorrow. I don't know if they're just trolling him or what, but it does feel kind of like that, doesn't it? Like the trolling is beginning. Multiple nations just decided to come out and say shit. Like, I don't know. All right, I'm going to bed, but interesting. Interesting. Again, if you listen to one of my earlier videos or earlier podcasts, especially the Great Sting one, which isn't here anymore, but it's on my Tubi place, it had to go a certain way. And the cleanest way possible is that none of our team actually touches it and has anything to do with it, because as soon as we do, you know what happens. So the cleanest way was for an agency or an outside power. Yes, we have a slim window. Maybe, maybe not. But there is currently a structure in place, and a lot of those executive orders he's complaining about that he'll absolutely get rid of if he gets in. So why do it so late? A lot of them leave a structure in place for a temporary lapse in administration. That's not something you do by mistake. A lot of things have not been done by mistake. So again, we'll see. But yeah, if I knew I was in the danger window, that's not the time I would want my nasty little report released to the public. I would be pretty upset about that too.
So I've had a few people ask, okay, well, what do you mean about the regime collapse? What do you mean it feels the same? What do you mean? Well, let me explain. I was 9 years old in 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed, when the regime collapsed, right? My father was a high-level official in the KGB. He was an outspoken communist. And so therefore, you know, it was on the news. And I have vague memories of this because, again, I was only 9 and I am now in my 40s. So I remember just watching the TV, and I have these glimpses of memory of Yeltsin standing on top of a tank and yada, yada, yada. But the thing that I remember the most, and mind you, I lived in Latvia in the Baltics, which was one of the first places to secede from the Soviet Union, to declare their independence. The way the air felt was off. And I remember that feeling. I don't remember all the details. Obviously, I was a kid. I wasn't really concerned with politics, but I remember the feeling. The air felt wrong. I don't know how to explain it better than that, but the air felt wrong. But I'm going to tell you that when I woke up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, the day after the election this year, it felt the exact same way. The feeling I had was a visceral memory of that feeling of, oh wow, everything's changing. And it was ominous and it was heavy and it was oppressive in a way. I don't know how to explain it any better than that, but it just felt like everything was just weighing down on everyone. And again, as a child, I really had no concept of what really was going on. And now as an adult, I kind of do, I guess. And I'm going to tell you that it felt exactly the same way then as it has felt since the day that Trump got elected now. So I'm not sure what that means. Do with that what you will. But again, like I said, I've already lived through one regime collapse. What's another?
Blue Lulus. I've never said that out loud before. Blue Lulus, I want to talk to you. Oh my God. I want to talk to you. So, it seems like we're probably going to know pretty soon if anything is happening. Or maybe it will take months. I don't know. But it seems like we will probably know pretty soon if it is true, as it seems to be, per the rules, that the DOJ can't go after anything until after certification. So I am one of the people, I made a few videos. I was not called to make constant videos around this, but I'm one of the people that's starting the Thursday after the election, channeled and received information that he would not be president. I also haven't practiced talking in code, so we'll see how this goes. And to just focus on myself and what I'm doing and what I'm creating in the world, because it was not going to be a problem. And that has been pretty steady. Other things have shifted in terms of exactly what that will look like, but that sentiment
has been pretty steady. And if I'm honest, I haven't wanted to go too deep into it because it takes a lot of energy and it doesn't feel like that is my work to do here. But it has been some people's work to do here, and that's been great. I've been keeping up with much of it. And I don't think this is true, what I'm about to say. I don't actually think this is true, but I feel like I want to say it, which is, people ask, why are all these intuitives getting this kind of thing and stringing people along, all that stuff, if it's not real? And my sense, until proven otherwise, is that it is real. That's what I think the truth is. And it occurred to me in thinking about this, well, what would the purpose of that be? What would the purpose of people having continued hope and courage and interest in this like forward moving feeling about this? What would be the point of that? And of course, it's frequency, right? Would it be worth it on an energetic collective scale for however many people have been following this stuff? I don't know, tens of thousands? Is it that many? I'm not sure. But for tens of thousands of people who are spiritual, open-minded, tapped in, to feel courage, to feel hope, to feel love, to feel positive expectation for months after the test, right? That is actually huge. Energetically, that is actually huge in terms of increasing and stabilizing the frequency of the world, of society. Because imagine, not all of them would, but imagine if thousands, let's say half, 20,000, I'm making these numbers up, but 40,000 people have been tuning into this and holding their vibration stronger because of it. Say 20,000 of those people were able to hold their vibration strong, which I actually think is doubtful. I think it'd be more like 10,000 people would be able to hold their vibration strong. A quarter of those people, if they just thought he was going to be in office, right? Which means, let's say 30,000 people, 20 to 30,000 people, are in despair, are in anger, and some anger is useful, so I'm not throwing that totally under the bus. But in terms of a sustainable frequency, it's up there, it's close, not fully there, it's on the way. But we're in despair, in extreme grief, extreme sadness. That would make a difference. That would make a difference. And it was on my way to Christmas. It was like Christmas Eve when I received that humanity we were like going up and down, but we're starting to consistently be at a level of courage. And that would change things. Our frequency, it would change what happens moving forward. And so it just made me wonder, what if all of this turned out to be not true? No justice happens. But our frequency was raised for months, for a couple months. And we learned so much from that experience that we decided that we were going to keep our frequency strong in positive expectation and in creation of the new world that we want to see, in spite of however circumstances appear. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? What if that was the lesson? And what if that was the most important thing? So I don't know what we're going to see in the coming days and weeks and months. I just decided I'm not trying to tap into that. I did try to tap into it the other night, and I just found it a little impossible. So I was like, okay, maybe that's not what I'm here to do. But I do think I've gotten a lot from this experience, this 4 a.m. Club Blue Lulu experience. And keeping our frequency strong might be the most important lesson that we've ever had. And that we've gotten to have that collectively in a whole new way that would not have happened otherwise, that would not have happened unless psychics and intuitives and ordinary people. We all can be psychic, we all can be an intuitive, but I just mean by trade. We're not receiving these answers, right? We're not receiving this message. I think there's more to it than that. But if that was it, to me, it would still be worth it. Just a thought. Take care.
You know something is brewing when a former Republican congressman goes on the news and has a fine, I'll say it moment. Former Florida congressman and current political analyst David Jolly went on MSNBC just yesterday and said the part that we've all been thinking out loud on air. Now for the full video, go check out my page. I just reposted a video by Shark Mama that has the full clip of what he said. Now, for those of us who were hoping that something was going to save us from another Trump term, this is definitely signaling things going in the right direction. Someone of actual, public stature is on the public mainstream news saying, what are we gonna do about this smelly orange elephant in the room? And at the same damn time, countries in the European Union are coming after Alonia for interfering in their elections. And I know we're coming really close to the wire here, but stuff's going down. No matter how many bot or MAGA comments I get telling me to shut up and move on, Trump is my daddy, etc., this is giving me motivation because finally someone is saying, are we really gonna just let this happen?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Those of you who didn't do your homework, Execute Order 13848 has 3 parts. The first part was from November 5th until, of course, December 20th. That's the assessment. From December 20th until this date, January 19th, that's a planning period. Once that planning period is done, then comes another 30, I believe it's either 30 or 40 days, where action needs to be taken. And this date is when the planning period ends. Thank you for doing your homework. I appreciate that. Now, will something happen? I don't know. It's not guaranteed, but just because it's not guaranteed, that doesn't mean it's not impossible. Miracles happen every single day, and I believe in miracles. But isn't it a coinkydink that DJT is holding a victory rally on this same date that we all said was very odd? Why not wait until the next day on the 20th when you're sworn in? Why hold a victory rally? Is it because he knows what's in this EO and he knows what's coming? That would explain why he's so scared. Something to think about. I've been thinking about this phrase, false hope. Can we talk about it for a minute? So, we all agree that hope essentially means, by definition, expecting something positive to happen. But when you take that word false, which could mean impossible, deception, and you apply it to hope, doesn't the term false hope sound like an oxymoron? It's like saying expecting something positive to happen is deceitful or it's impossible. It kind of makes me feel bad for the people who think that way. Like, what kind of a tortured, miserable, lonely soul you have to be to even tell someone that. There is nothing wrong with expecting something positive to happen. It speaks more about you that you continue to have hope, even though it's not guaranteed. But there's always a reason to have hope, to be hopeful. You need hope to get through to the next day, because without hope, why wake up? Why get out of bed? Why go to work? If you're expecting bad things to happen all the damn time, how do you get through life? And why would you want to be around anyone that thinks that way? It's just bad for your spirit. So if you hear the word false hope come out of anybody's mouth, think of that as a red flag. A massive red flag that you need to get away from pronto. Just a thought. Stay hopeful. Trust your gut. And know at the end of the day, you are not crazy.